A very ancient time once existed, so old that even the presence of humans on Earth was new and uncertain. In that era, the land we now call America was a harsh and untamed world, where every sunrise was a test of survival, and every night carried the fear of death. When the sun rose, the cold loosened its grip for a while, but when darkness returned, the winds howled like living creatures. The sounds of forests, the roars of animals, and the cracking of ice shaped a land that did not belong to humans. Nature ruled here, and its law was simple. Only those who adapted survived. The changing climate of Earth slowly carved America into what it would become. Ice ages came and went. Massive glaciers reshaped mountains, redirected rivers, and flattened vast plains. Where green forests stand today, thick sheets of ice once ruled. Seas advanced and retreated, revealing and swallowing land again and again. During one such moment in time, Asia and America were connected by a frozen stretch of land. Humans, driven by hunger and instinct rather than ambition, crossed this land unknowingly. They were not explorers or conquerors. They were simply following animals, escaping cold, and chasing life itself. For the first humans who stepped onto American soil, this land was not a promise, it was a challenge. Everything around them was larger, faster, and stronger. Mammoths roamed the plains in massive herds, their footsteps shaking the ground. Predators watched from the shadows, their glowing eyes cutting through the darkness. Humans were weak in body, but they carried something no animal possessed, the ability to think beyond the moment. They shaped stone into tools, learned patterns of movement, and began to hunt with strategy instead of strength. Fire changed everything. Before fire, night was an enemy. After fire, night became a gathering. Flames kept predators away, warmed frozen bodies, and lit faces that had once known only fear. Around these fires, humans began to connect. Without words, they shared meaning through gestures, sounds, and expressions. This was the earliest form of culture on American land, a silent understanding that survival was easier together than alone. As generations passed, humans began to notice differences in the land. Some regions offered fertile soil, others only stone. Some rivers fed life, while others destroyed it through floods. Slowly, people learned to choose where to live. Along rivers and open plains, shelters appeared, first temporary, then permanent. Wood, stone, and earth formed the earliest homes. These structures were simple, but they marked a turning point. Humans were no longer just passing through America, they were becoming part of it. With settlement came belief. Mountains were no longer just stone, they became symbols of power. Rivers were no longer water, they became sources of life and time. Nature gained meaning beyond survival. Early spirituality emerged, not as organized religion, but as respect for forces greater than humanity. Humans understood that they could not dominate nature, only live alongside it. Centuries later, advanced civilizations arose across the American continents. Cultures such as the Olmec and the Maya built cities of stone, developed agriculture, studied the stars, and created complex calendars. They understood time in ways that still challenge modern science. They knew humanity was not the center of existence, but part of a larger universe. Their temples reached toward the sky, their knowledge etched into stone. Yet even the greatest civilizations were not eternal. Droughts, disease, conflict, and natural disasters slowly weakened them. Some collapsed suddenly, others faded quietly into history. Water shaped America's story as much as land. Rivers connected communities, and oceans opened paths to distant worlds. Boats brought trade, ideas, and contact, but also conflict. Tribes clashed over land and resources, boundaries formed, and wars were fought not for empires, but for survival and identity. Blood was spilled not in the name of kings, but for food, safety, and honor. Then came a turning point that forever altered America's path. From across the oceans arrived strangers, Europeans with unfamiliar languages, metal weapons, and powerful ambitions. They brought technology and new beliefs, but also disease and greed. To them, America was not a living land, it was property. Civilizations that had existed for thousands of years were shattered within generations. Indigenous cultures were suppressed, lands were taken, and identities were erased. History on this land was no longer allowed to grow naturally, it was forced to change. America became a colony and later a battlefield of ideas. The desire for independence ignited revolutions. The fight was not only against rulers, but against the idea that people could not choose their own future. When independence was achieved, transformation followed rapidly. Machines replaced hands, cities replaced forests, railways crossed the land, and industries rose where silence once ruled. The same fire that once frightened humans now powered factories and engines. The 20th century pushed America into a global role. Wars tested its strength, science expanded its reach, and technology reshaped daily life. America became a symbol of power, progress, and influence, but beneath the skyscrapers and cities lies a much older story, a story of fear, struggle, and endurance, a story that began when a human first stepped onto frozen ground, uncertain but determined. Modern America did not appear overnight. It is the result of millions of years of adaptation, belief, conflict, and ambition. From caves to cities, from fire to space exploration, this land has continuously transformed those who lived upon it. Its true strength lies not in weapons or wealth, but in its ability to change, learn, and move forward. And this story is not over. History doesn't end, it evolves. As long as humans continue to question, to explore, and to dream, America's story will keep being written, just as it has been since the very first footsteps echoed across its ancient soil.